You know what my favorite movie of all time is? I mean, besides Star Wars, my favorite movie of all time is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I love that movie. I even read the short stories that it was based off of. I got all obsessed. I love the scene whenever Walter is hopping out of a helicopter into the water and is trying to get onto a boat. And I love that scene because it just illustrates so much about my journey that I can resonate with. I love that scene. But yeah, by far my favorite movie of all time is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. If you've never seen it, I think you ought to watch it. Press pause on this thing, go and watch it, and then let's get back in here and have this conversation. But for those of us who have, dude, isn't that movie awesome? Like, it's so, I love that movie. It's so cool. Probably one of the coolest movies I've ever watched because the cinematography, the storytelling, and I relate so much to Walter. I think for so long, I was a Walter, you know, living on the sidelines, kind of doing my own thing, kind of living more in my imagination than living in real life. And here comes Walter, and he's kind of pressed into real life. Situation got crazy. It's now time for you to live in real life, and you have to go to real places and meet real people and do real things. Your imagination is no longer as active as it used to be. You're no longer as much of a dreamer as maybe you used to be. I love that. I love that movie. It is so hard not to be romantic about movies when you watch a piece of film like that. And it's so hard not to be romantic about the types of podcasts and the types of creative endeavors maybe, and the types of things that we're going to create and do in our future. It's so hard not to be romantic about those things. But then comes the actual step of doing the thing. I'm not a whims kind of guy. Like I like to say that I'm whimsically unpolished, but I'm not a whimsical kind of person. I'm not the kind of guy that travels across the country at a drop of a hat. I'm not the type of person that, goes and does spontaneous crazy things like because I felt like it. Like I'm just not that kind of guy. So to press record on a podcast I really hadn't thought a whole lot about yet. Hadn't really thought about what I'm going to talk about. Hadn't really, settled on what I want this to be about. It just doesn't, it goes against everything. It goes against all the fibers kind of locked up inside my body, because that's not usually how I go about things. I'm a planner. I like to have my steps. There are definitely situations and cases, and it's most cases where, I'm very fly by the seat of my pants, as it were. I am so down for just about any opportunity, any activity, anything fun and exciting. But I've always noticed that it's because I know what's going to happen at the end of my day. No matter what happens today, I'm going to be in my bed tonight. I'm not a huge risk taker. And anytime there's opportunity for me to be in front of a camera or in front of a crowd, I lock up. I get very nervous, and I tend to overanalyze, overplan, and overprepare. I'm uncomfortable. I don't do this at all. I think I have a very romantic idea about what pressing record and telling a story is supposed to entail. And if I'm honest, it's really none of this. It's not a black, it's not a blue background, and it's not a Amazon couch. It's warmer than that. It's maybe a little bit more interesting. I don't know. This is John's fault, by the way, not Creators Therapy, the podcast, but how this is getting started, because a challenge, a gauntlet, if you will, has been laid down in front of us. What does it look like to do everything wrong and still manage to press publish? Because we get so wrapped up so often in making sure that everything is just perfect, everything is just so, before we are comfortable enough to take the next step. And I really like that I'm uncomfortable right now, because I think there's a season for it. I think this is the season for it. I think this is the season for breaking rules. I think if you're ever going to try something, you should try it and not worry so much about all the sauce that's going in on it later. Perfection is not possible, but improvement is a process. And I think if we all embrace that just a little bit more, we'd be a lot better off, maybe even a little bit happier with ourselves. What a prologue. My name is DJ Acevedo. I'm not going to pretend like you went back and listened to all the other episodes because I'm pretty sure that most of you that are either watching this on YouTube or listening to this online, this is your first experience with me in this kind of environment. My name is DJ Acevedo. I'm way more comfortable at the back of the room watching everybody watch the person up on stage. I'm not the front of house guy. I don't do that well. I think whenever I was younger, I might have used to be more comfortable with that, and I still have memories of being in front of thousands and saying some things, and maybe that's a story for another day. But as I've gotten older, I think I just got less interested in it, or maybe just kind of some of it lost its mystique, or maybe I just became an adult and stopped having fun. I'm not 100% sure which one is true yet. I'm sure that's what we'll discover here. Welcome to Creators Therapy. This is a podcast that I started about 3 or 4 years ago, and it began as a journey of trying to discover the mesh point between my expertise and my passion for creativity, for telling stories, for being behind the camera, for writing poetry, for sketching and drawing and doodling. I never took notes the way other kids took notes. I took notes because I remembered the pictures that I was drawing while I was listening to the lecture. And teachers would always kind of accuse me of not listening or not being engaged, when really I just chose a different path. I just chose a different way to be engaged. I found that if I was busy, if my hands were busy, if I was really kind of engaged on different levels than the people around me, I could hone in. So I've had that passion forever, but I also have this really unique ability and interest in human behavior. What makes us tick, the reason why we make some of the decisions that we make, the reason we do some of the things that we do. Why do we do some of the things we do? I have no idea. I'm really interested in finding out. I don't know why your mother-in-law acts the way that she acts. I don't know why your sister or your brother is the weirdest one in your family. I have no idea. I'm so curious to find out, however, and that is part of the reason why I started down the journey of becoming a marriage and family therapist. The running joke among therapists is that you are ultimately trying to solve something in your own life, and that's why you became a therapist, is to heal thyself. Probably. My parents got divorced whenever I was really little, and so I lived my life 2 weeks at a time. And, so it's for 1 week and a weekend, I was in one house and in one house only. And then for the next week, I'm still in the same house, but then that next weekend, I was in another house, living another life, being known as a different person. It was really weird to grow up in. I didn't realize how weird that was until just now. So engaging in this process, engaging in this kind of journey of self-discovery, maybe I'll heal myself if I do this thing. This is what Creators Therapy became. Because I also felt that as creators, and if you're listening to this, probably you're a creator of some type. Either you're an entrepreneur, or you love to sing or dance, or you're in the creative arts of some sort, or you're just really curious, what does this guy sound like whenever he's not surrounded by other people? I appreciate the time, and I appreciate the engagement. I hope it's well worth it. But Creators Therapy became a space for me to be able to explore some of these thoughts and ideas, and also introduce you to some really cool people. I have some really great friends, and I have a lot of really great friends who are talented. And so to provide a platform to be able to brag on the people around me, and to give them a place to speak, that was such an honor. It's still such an honor. Around the time COVID hit, my wife and I were actually pregnant. Well, she was pregnant. I got to watch her be pregnant and be helpful as much as possible. So we figured we'd let her give it a shot first, and then we'll see if I like it. But doesn't look like a lot of fun, so maybe I'll rock, paper, scissors her for the second kid. She can carry the second kid, or I can. I don't know. We'll see. But around 2020, our son was born at the height of COVID in Los Angeles County, and I can't think of a more insane time to be born into. But at the height of COVID in Los Angeles County, what a wild place to be. But at the same time, creators therapy kind of freaked me out because I was starting to get contacted by people I didn't know who were curious and interested in what it would take or what it would look like to be on the podcast. And so I was afraid of my own success. I'll say it out loud. I didn't like it. People were starting to listen. People were starting to watch. People were starting to pay attention, and it freaked me out. Wasn't comfortable. And so the convenient out at the time was I've got a son and I got to take care of him, which, was true, but also freaked me out. I'm at the mesh point of my expertise and my creativity, and I find that people are asking a lot of the same questions that I am, and I hope to facilitate some of the self-discovery that's involved in finding those answers. There is no silver bullet. There is no magic pill. There is no instant success. There is no quick way around this thing. There is no fast track. There is no skip to the good part. Every bit of that involves a journey. Every bit of that involves a process. Every bit of that involves blood, sweat, tears, more tears, a few extra tears, and then some joy, and then maybe a tear more, maybe a little bit more blood. I have no idea, but every bit of that is a journey. And I am obsessed with that journey. What I love talking about is the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why, the purpose, the mission, the vision, the values, who you are at a very soul level. And that's what's going to help direct you and traject you. Is that a word? Traject? I have no idea. That's what's going to help catapult, there's another word, you to a space where you can be the best version of yourself that you can be. You can be the best creative that you can be. You can be the best, fill in the blank here that you can be. I'm excited about introducing you to the journey. There's no easy road here. And I think that's one narrative that I plan on throwing a lot of rocks at is the easy road, the magic pill, the quick flip, the silver bullet. There's none of that exists in real life. And I see so many people, so many clients, motorcycles. So many clients. I've had conversations with so many clients about trying to find that. What do we do? How much money does it take to get there? And when can I be a celebrity? And I'm just, that ain't how I roll. That's not how I like to do things. In our company, this company that John and I started during COVID, and I'm sure most of you know John Mitty because he shouted this podcast and myself out in his first episode of his podcast, which I'm super excited about. And I can't wait to be on there, and he's going to be on here as well. But like I said earlier, it's kind of his fault that I'm here in this position because he shouted me out and he's like, oh, by the way, yeah, he's starting his podcast up. And I was like, dude, I'm like a month away, maybe 2 months, maybe 6 months, maybe a full year. You know what? Yeah, it's going to take a full year before I'm really comfortable, really like where everything is at. And so him shouting it out kind of tossed the gauntlet down a little bit. And so here we are. Felt challenged, press record, put an episode out there. Let's see what happens. I'm excited to see what happens. We're going to dig into what it takes to be the best versions of ourselves, what I think is going to take to be the best version of ourselves, what I see as creatives that we can be doing, or maybe we just kind of take some time and pull off the road a little bit and have a little quick therapy session. Counseling is expensive. I'll be the first one to say it. I paid my therapist like a couple months ago for a quick session, and boy, was it high. And although the time was worth it, I also 100% see, both as a client and as a therapist, how the price point can get in the way. And so I figured maybe this can be an opportunity where we get some real work in together. So marketing, it may not be my passion, but it is a vehicle, and it's something I care very much about. Entrepreneurship is something that I'm in. Creativity is something that I'm in. The journey to figuring out who we are and what we're made of and discovering who we are, man, that's a journey I'm interested in. And I hope you are too. I hope because you're pressing play on this, I'm pressing record, you're pressing play. I hope you'll join me on this journey as we get through it. I'm going to wrap this up really fast, but let me just tackle a couple things really quickly. I'm excited for the road ahead. I have no idea what it's going to look like yet, but I know that it's going to look like a lot more conversations with really cool people. I know it's going to look like just a journey that I'm on in becoming a licensed therapist. So many of you don't know this, but whenever I graduated with my master's degree in counseling psychology, I actually had to continue on being a counselor, and you got to work, you got to be supervised for a certain amount of hours. In the state of California, it was 3,000 hours. You have to have 3,000 hours before you can test for your license. That's not the case for every state. But it was the case there. And so as a result, I got a lot of really good experience as a therapist. And so, still working towards my licensure. I'm not a licensed therapist yet. October, I'm coming for you. But it is something that I'm really passionate about and that I'm excited about. I'm excited about that journey. We're going to talk a little bit. If you're a therapist, I'm going to talk to you a little bit. I got some stuff to share with you. I'm going to have some of my friends, some of my best friends in the world who are professional therapists. They're licensed. They know what they're talking about. We're going to get into some stuff. I got content in mind just for you therapists, but I've definitely got some content in mind just for you entrepreneurs. And I've definitely got some ideas and conversations in mind for those of us who are just trying to be better creatives or just wanting to be creatives. I've got conversations and topics in mind for all of us. I'm excited about what's ahead. I hope you are too. Thank you so much for tuning in to this first episode. And I'll see you in the next one. Session over.